Hello and welcome back to the Bodyful Minds Podcast. If you're listening to this and you've been thinking lately that you're just coping, but no meltdown, no argument, please right now, because it might just tip the balance, this episode is for you. Many ambitious mothers assume that if life feels heavy, tense or tight, they must be missing a tool or doing something wrong. But that tightness isn't necessarily a personal signal at all. It's a contextual one. Today, I want to name something we haven't talked much about on the podcast yet. How modern ways of living, combined with the sheer amount of information at your fingertips, have turned parenting into an intense and highly condensed experience. And if this already resonates, I want to be clear from the start. The fact that you're still functioning inside this level of intensity already tells me just how much capacity you have, even if it doesn't feel that way right now. For many mothers today, this intensity looks like this. A lot of responsibility, a lot of care, a lot of decision-making. And all of those are mostly held by the primary caregiver, and that still tends to be you, the mom. This is compounded by the enormous amount of information available now. Every decision comes with options, opinions, studies, and recommendations. And because you care deeply and want what's best for your children, you don't ignore that information. You weigh it. From the outside, your days might look calm, you might be functioning well, you might even feel like you are doing things right, but something feels off. There is so very little slack left. That doesn't mean you've lost capacity. It means protecting your capacity has become incredibly hard because there's always more to do and more to know. And so very little support, with us all living in our nuclear families and often far away from relatives who could support us. And filtering through all of that information requires capacity too. Here's the part that often gets missed. The strain you feel isn't evidence that your capacity is shrinking. It's evidence that it's being used continuously without pause in environments that rarely give anything back. And that doesn't mean you're powerless inside those environments. It means that agency now shows up less as pushing through and more as having a way of noticing earlier when enough is enough. Ambitious mothers are often the first to feel this intensity, not because they're fragile, but because they are reliable, responsive, used to carrying responsibility well. And you want to do well. You want to learn and understand things better. You've learned to operate with very little slack, to anticipate, to adjust, to absorb. That's not a flaw. It's adaptation. And adaptation is a form of intelligence. You didn't stumble into this. You adjusted in order to keep caring, working, and deciding well, often at the same time. The important part here is this. Adaptation means you're constantly evolving, willing to learn and change. It means you've learned to pivot, maybe even without realizing that you did. That realization and acknowledgement of your agility alone proves your capacity and how resourceful you are. This is where body awareness builds, on foundations like these. It doesn't aim to change you. It amplifies what's already there, and it allows you to tune into the parts of you that actually need attention, not because you're lacking something, but because you're already carrying a lot. Clearer answers and better decisions don't come from reading even more. They come from that grounded sense of, I'm ready now. This is enough information. I can move. Body awareness grounds your decisions in safety rather than anxiety. And that's what lowers the threshold of certainty you need in order to move forward. It helps you sense when good enough really is good enough for you in this specific situation. And when continuing to read, research, or evaluate would cost more energy than it could realistically give back. From there, you don't need to be sure you're right. You need to trust that you'll keep evolving, and that if something turns out not to be the perfect call, you'll be able to cope, adjust, and learn from it, rather than having it knock you off course. That kind of self-trust doesn't reduce responsibility. It reduces the pressure to get everything right up front, and it allows you to be more honest with yourself. about where your limits are right now and where you do still have room. This episode is not an invitation to slow down, go inward, regulate more, practice anything new. That's again for another time. For now, the work is simply this: letting go of the idea that if life feels intense, it means you're failing at something. Because when you stop interpreting strain as a personal problem, you're no longer fighting your life from the inside. You're able to move through it with a bit more steadiness, knowing that you don't need perfect clarity in order to cope, respond, or course correct as you go. That shift alone, even before any technique, creates relief. Because the goalpost is no longer a constant chill and relax mode with a mood that doesn't change or a life that's the exact same every day. Acknowledging that some times are more challenging than others, knowing that you have agency in how you deal with this intensity and that there will be less challenging phases again, allows you to move through the intensity more consciously and without the need to fix everything all the time immediately, but based on priorities that align with your values and needs, as well as those of your family. For today, let this land. You're not behind. You're not missing something, and you don't need to solve this yet. Until next time, more you, less noise.